My name is Phileo Huff from Atlanta, Georgia, west side Atlanta, to be specific. 35 somehow. Shit, man, I started officially 2011, maybe 2010. Like, I started 2010, something around that. And I really didn't take it serious until about 2012, I'll be honest. Like, I was in and out of the club and doing weird shit. Because I had a job, I was a writer, so I didn't really need to do stand-up.
I never thought I could be a comedian.
Actually, I never was like, oh, you know what, I can do this. I thought the opposite. I would see all these guys doing it and taking it so serious. I was like, I can never do that. This is insane. The thing that got me to sticking with it is just my own challenging myself and wanting to be better at my own writing, just writing and stuff like that. And I wanted to be like, man, I wonder if I could just be funnier than I was the last time I was on stage. So I continued to do that, and then I felt, 2012 turned into 2020. So.
My family is comprised of what you would call criminals. The whole family, mostly like criminals. Some people cool, it's like a lot of criminals, and especially growing up, that's what kind of raised me. Like, if you get to know me and who I am, you find out that that's where I'm from, that's my background. It's fine, she's having an orgasm at the farm. It sounds like a Chinese. Oh my God! Another I taking them for flight lights. I'm gonna come with an arm and bling.
All right, so my first actual show, I was young. I did a open mic type thing when I was very young. That was terrible. I bombed. My last little joke, I got off, and I told the guy, I insulted the guy. I did some crowd work, and I insulted the guy, which won the room back. And that was terrible. I thought I'd never do this. This is awful. My first show, my real first show, was actually great. I don't know, that's like crazy. So I don't really count that. I count the original 16-year-old show, but it was great. I went up the Comedy Store in LA, actually. That was like my first show. Like, I'd done a couple of mics, done a couple things here and there, but I went up to the Comedy Store in LA. I did amazing, which did not happen about 20 times after that. I bombed my ass off for like the better part of a year, but the first show was great. Yeah, the first joke I actually ever wrote. So I used to dick around like I dick around now. You guys see me, I used to dick around all the time. The first joke I seriously wrote was a joke about, I think it was like 2012, when Chick-fil-A, one of the guys at Chick-fil-A, the restaurant in the States, came out, said something homophobic, whatever he said, and I had a joke about it. Like, I said, oh, I have to have this joke just about this. I had a friend, still have a friend, he's gay, but he wasn't my roommate, but he was always in my house, and I was like, I'm treating him like my roommate, so I had this joke about how I would eat Chick-fil-A, and he'd be like, this is offensive, how can you do this? And I was like, I don't even care about my own life, I'm eating fast food, like, I don't care about your rights, or whatever it is that you're offended by. That was like the first joke I wrote, and I was like, this is a terrible joke, and no one's gonna laugh at this, and I ended up closing with that terrible joke a lot, because it got the biggest laugh, which made me flip it to the front and work backwards. Yeah. Shit. Okay, all right. The worst show I've ever had, I did a cruise, because I'm an asshole. I went on a cruise, man, and I did a cruise. And all of those, collectively, that experience, those weeks, that experience, there's not one night that went well. Like, they were all like, man, and then it was man to just awful. Nobody wanted to hear it. It wasn't old folks, it was just like a young adult, they had some kids, but it was bad. It was no one laughed. I was drunk. I just started drinking like halfway through the cruise. I was like, I'm just gonna drink every night. Me and the other comics, we had 2 other comics. None of us did well. They didn't want to hear anything we had to say. They didn't find us funny. It wasn't, I was black, one guy's white, one guy's something else, brown, we don't know what he was, but they didn't give a shit about what you were. No, yeah, that was bad. I hate thinking about it. You can tell now I'm like angry about it still. I'm still harbored. Don't do cruise comedy. That's my, don't do it.
We told them we were taping. Should have said, we are taping, please. Don't talk during our taping. Please don't interrupt the black guy. He black, he don't have father. I'm sorry.
The worst heckle is still the first heckle, because I've never forgotten it. I've never gotten over it. If I find this guy, I'm gonna fuck him up. I don't care if he's older. That's when I was 16 and I'm standing there, and at that point I was like, I'm trying to experience the rest of the world that's not the hood, right? So I'm trying to do other shit. So I'm like, I'm gonna try to skateboard, and if I skateboard, my shoes get dirty. So black people, you don't really wear dirty sneakers around black people, especially when you're doing a function. You want to dress very nice because people look at you, shoes up. We look at each other like, why you dressed like a bum? And these dirty sneakers on, and no one's laughing the whole time. And he goes, he said the funniest thing on that stage is how dirty your shoes are. And they laughed at me like Def Jam. Like Martin Lawrence was up there. They were falling on each other, laughing and shit. And I was like, that shit hurt. I was like, the 6-year-old me, I was like, I got a piece in the back. Like I shoot this nigga outside. Like I don't do comedy. And that shit bothered me. That's the guy I got back, but that's the worst heckle because had I not been prepared from like just my cousins teaching me how to like talk shit to people, that would have probably, I would have. That's bullying, is what it is. It's much more difficult than people will ever give it credit for. And that's the comedian's fault, I believe. It's our fault. We don't make it seem as hard as it is. And we have not treated comedy like an art form. Like we always like, look what they do with movies and rap and this and that. And they treat that like art. Well, those people treated it like art. We didn't. We don't go to bat for comedy. But no one tears down other co-workers more than comedians. Rappers, there's like one rap beef a year, maybe two, right? But comedians, we consistently tear each other down. So you got to deal with comedians fucking around, talking shit, trying to stab you in the back for stuff. You got to deal with comedy clubs, bookers, managers, promoters, rogue. So it's all that plus your life, which may not be super easy, on top of trying to make a room full of strangers laugh at your thoughts and opinions. So it's very difficult. I'd say it's more difficult than being the president, to be honest with you. Look at that. I mean, they got that fool. So.
Where is Corona when you need it? Sinus, my sinus. Okay.
My thing was to always, I used to want to be the comedian's comedian, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Chappelle was that for a point. He's just Chappelle now, he's, Chappelle. There's a few comedians who are like, people go like, yeah, this is our guy. Like Patrice O'Neal was a comedian's comedian for a while, but I consider him big as well. But I used to want to be that. When I would come in, the comics would be like, oh shit, he's about to do this. And they want to watch me as opposed to the audience. I knew I could get the audience. But now my goal is, that changed early on. My goal was just to be a really good writer, like in general, so I could write scripts, I could write for other people, to be known as a great writer in general, comedic writer in general. So that's still my goal. I don't need to have Kevin Hart level fame. I would like the money. But as long as I'm known to be lethal with the pen, that's my goal. My style, my comedic style, how would I describe it? Unassuming. Because my appearance, especially the way I dress now, does not tell you what I'm going to talk about when I come on stage. I think a lot of people think one thing when I get up, and they hear my accent, they hear my voice, and they go, okay, I know where he might go. And then I go way left. Incomplete. Sometimes I have incomplete jokes and thoughts I want to work out. So, I can't really compare myself to someone else, although I've obviously, like anyone, when you grow up in something, you find your own voice, but you still borrow from who came before you. And so, yeah. That shit was amazing. I'm gonna put this on the documentary. I stopped selling drugs because they paid me to do. For a brief period, they paid me. I said, wait a minute, I can tell these stupid ass stories I tell my friends and these jokes I tell my friends and like all this shit I've gone through, and they'll pay me for this to stand on stage and talk to people, and they give me free drinks. This is why don't more people do this. The first time I got paid was actually that Comedy Store show. And my boy Nick Purdue, you were there, Nick. I think I got like $40, $45, and I was like, it makes no sense, but I'm going to do this. I was up there for maybe 15 minutes, and the guy broke me off with whatever the tip bucket was. So yeah, I was like, shit, I need to do this. Yeah. Best moment to date is sitting in the comedy in LA at the Ha Ha Cafe and going up, and in the back I hear the unmistakable laughter of Damon Wayans and Marlon Wayans, and somebody else was back. I think not Tony Baker. I think shit, I can't remember this guy's name. Anyway, famous comics are back there, and I could hear them laughing at my like just nonsense on stage, and it wasn't even like this well-crafted material. It was new material stuff. It was Work It Out Wednesdays. It's a show they used to have, and I could hear them. Like when you hear Damon Wayans laugh, there's no one that laughs like it's like an Eddie Murphy laugh or like a Seth Rogen laugh. I was like, I know that's not Damon Wayans laughing at me right now. Everything else, opening for people, touring, TV, it was great. It's what you want to do. It's what you go for. But hearing that, there's other moments like famous comics I really looked up to told me, oh, you're really funny. Jim Gaffigan told me I was hilarious. Such and such, whoever. They always go, oh, yeah, you're really funny, man. But to hear that person laugh so loud, like in out of all the other people laughing, that meant so much to me. So I said, I really want to stick with this. We'll do some backspins later. I'm not even a comic. Like I'm not supposed to be here. My parole officer died. He died of corona. I mean, they say that I shot him, but he had COVID. He had COVID as well, so we don't know what was it, the bullet or the. Tell me to pee in a cup. That's y'all. Y'all do that shit. Blah, 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 right? I like those, the fake guns. I like that. It's not as dangerous. That's what I'm used to at all. Mark was talking about Black Lives Matter. I mean, for a week they did. It was cool. Remember that week? That was a good fucking week, bro. How many white girls you slept with that week? Because I got a lot of guilty white guilt vagina. So much. It was amazing. I was like, they do Black Lives Matter. How much though? Like how much? I gotta wear a condom. They don't matter that much. You talk about black kids? Fuck you. Get out of here. My favorite comic. I have two lists. I have living and dead. The three on the dead is Bernie Mac, Patrice O'Neal, Richard Pryor. Pryor being number one. And then living is Burr, Leslie Jones, Chris Rock. Or Chappelle, actually. It's like a toss-up between a lot of them. The living are living, and they're just amazing. These are the people I constantly look up to, constantly watch them for their craft. It's wonderful. They're never not going to be good to me. And I'm lucky to grow up and continue to watch them create new shit, right? It's beautiful. The ones that pass away is their honesty and how open and honest they were about who they were on stage. Bernie Mac, Patrice O'Neal, Richard Pryor were the most, to me, honest and open comedians that you ever had. They never held back. They weren't trying to purposefully come out there and upset anybody. It was, this is what I went through. And I put Pryor at the top because I went through a lot of what Pryor went through in his life. Like, I wasn't raised in a whorehouse and all this crazy shit. I didn't, fuck nobody in jail because I never went to jail because I'm slick like that. But it's how honest he was about his depression, his drug use, the abuse that happened in his life, how he felt about, the world and things that were going on. I thought it was that's just art in itself. Like, even if you didn't laugh, that you can't deny what he was doing was, just setting the level, transcending beyond what was already done. So Pryor, as a human being, I looked at him as that's something I want to be with, that level of honesty, because I feel like if you're that honest, it would allow you to change and grow. Otherwise, if you're hiding anything, if you're holding something in, you're never going to actually fully become yourself. And I saw him do that, watch it back to the dead before I could really, But yeah, Pryor. I would say Pryor, just because of everything that Pryor was and is. Man, it started with wanting to be one of the best writers, and that's very motivational. Just want to really write, but it's not even the competition. I've noticed I only do well at shows with people I like. If I'm in a show and I don't know these people, whatever, I don't tend to do well. Motivates me to go and do comedy and see my friends do well. And that kind of gives me like, oh man, okay, I like the way Kazim wrote that, or I like the way Darren wrote that joke, or okay, I see how, Akadiri or Jimmy or whoever, Norlex, Napoleon, Josh Minuin, I like the way he wrote this and is performing that way. I kind of want to do my version of that. Like, we had a guy, Kirby Darius, come out here with us, and just seeing Kirby take his New York and Northeastern, style and bring it and really adapt it and really just push forward with what he was talking about and what he was doing and translate it. I was like, I want to keep doing that. It motivates me to see my friends do better and do great, because I want to be in the same class. I want to stay in the same class and hang. So yeah. Family. A lot of comedians who have families will talk about this. They'll say this. It's doing comedy when I was by myself. There was a level of focus that was like, I want to make it for me. And I wasn't necessarily in a rush. But with a family, it's like I have to feed my kid. So I really have to focus. I really have to do this. It's difficult to balance that time, because you want to spend time with your family in the evenings and at any point, but you also know you have to leave to go work. Like, you have to work. If you don't go do this, it's not going to get done. So it's hard, man. It got increasingly hard when I had a kid, man. It got really hard when I had a child, because she's not going to understand for years, why you have to go. And the later her bedtime gets, the harder it'll be for me to leave. Bedtime's 6 now, so I can get out and still make it to a show. But that's the difference, is that it's hard to step away from the family versus when it was just by myself. I just step away from the bitches, man. I step away from a girl. I don't care. Like, I'd be like, I'm out. Why are you talking to me? I'm leaving to go do something that I find important, and you're not on the list of those things. Comedy in the States and different than comedy overseas. You know what, man? The comedians are different because of the sensibilities of Americans versus people in England and in different parts of Europe. So that's one thing I immediately noticed, getting on Junior Booker shows and things like that. Nobody was trying to stab anybody in the back directly. Nobody was purposefully not. There's comics back home who will go to shows to not laugh at you, to make you feel like you're not that motherfucker. Like, what, sir? It's unnecessary. So, it didn't really happen to me because I'm dope, but I've seen it happen. No, man. And so, other than that, the difference is, this is controversial. Americans aren't well versed in the world because we don't have to be, right? Usually, our entertainment, everything is what people absorb. But English people aren't well versed in shit, and it's unnecessary because it's surrounded by the shit. And so it's like, if I'm telling you a joke about Spain, why the fuck you don't know about Spain is right there? You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't understand. So that's very different. The audience, I'm thinking I'm gonna hit them with the highbrow jokes. These English people are gonna get it, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't understand. King what? I don't know about that king. It's like, okay, cool. But the real difference is the comedians that in general, Europeans are willing to let you get away with a lot more. They're willing to hear you out. Like, let me hear like Australians, let me hear what he has to say. I'll let you get through the joke, or at least through the premise or the concept, before I judge you or dislike you right away. Americans, for the most part, unless you go Midwest, or like, sadly, if you go more conservative comedy states or cities, whatever the fuck I'm saying, they'll let you get away with stuff. But liberals, they don't really let you get away with anything. But out here, I've got more off my chest here. Like, when I went back home to do some stuff, I took the same material I was doing out here that was killing. I took it there and it did well, but I could see people tighten it up. And I'm like, the British people are just laughing at that. I don't understand. So that's a major difference. What's next for me? Get this bottle of fruit water that Darren didn't get me. No, what's next is I'm gonna keep pushing for the writing. I'm loving stand-up still. I still want to do it as much as possible. I'm not in the zone now with everything going on with the corona and all this shit. I'm not in the zone of asking for spots. If you want me to perform, I'm gonna come perform. I'm not gonna really beg. If I see a show, I'm like, man, I really want to get on the stage. I might do it, but more so I'm focused on writing. I want to get a lot of content out, like films, short films, TV series. I want to write things for people, like, you know, if somebody has an idea, like, you know, if Michael Akadiri's like, I want to do a show like about being a doctor and make it funny. All right, let's sit down and do that. So I want to put like what I want to do. I want to start focusing more on that and getting that rolling. Yeah, just on the production side of things, behind the scenes side of things. That's what's next. What does comedy mean? Comedy, I don't have that cliche answer of comedy saved my life, man. If I didn't do comedy, I'd be fucking dead. No, that's not me. Comedy to me is it's just fun. And it's a great way to exercise. I'm obsessed with learning. So it's a great way to exercise and learn, exercise the mind and learn. To me, comedy is comfort. I find comfort in being able to, the attempt at trying to make someone laugh. I find great comfort in that. And without it, I would, if I couldn't do it, but it was still around to do, like if I just couldn't do it and it was still around to do, I would be upset. But to say that it would end me, that's, you know, I don't know. That's kind of sad to me. Like I could still find ways of doing comedically creative things that isn't stand up. So to me, comedy is just comfort, man. Comedy is comfort, and comedy is, it's a love of mine. It's passion. If I get given a Netflix special, listen, Netflix, y'all keep bothering me, man. I keep telling y'all, like, when I'm ready, I'll do it. Stop calling my phone. Stop texting me. It's unnecessary. I would do it in Tokyo, somewhere obscure like that. I'd do it in Singapore or some shit like that, just to fucking throw people off. Something wild like that. But I would have to do, like, we would have to do something where we spend a lot of the budget bringing out people from different parts of the world that I performed at. You know what I mean? Like do some shit like fucking all these people saw me in England, people saw me in America, people saw me here. I bring like, you know, 50 people from each place, if it's 200 seat or whatever it is, from each place to come out, experience that. I know it's a lot of money. Netflix, I understand what I'm saying. But the dream, this is imaginary scenario, I do that. I call it, let me finish before you start blogging, which is a line that I got from Bill Burr in his special, I can't remember, I think it's I'm Sorry to Feel the Way. It's a black and white special, Burr. I can't remember which one it was. Yeah, 45 specials. But it's that one. He said, let me finish before you start blogging. I said, that is my comedy right there. Let me finish before you fucking, because if you interrupt me, you're going to be upset. So I would call it, let me finish before you start blogging. I would do it somewhere crazy that no one's done one before and try to bring out people, you know, and make it a whole thing, make it a documentary, make it a whole thing. Yeah. Netflix, just, I'll get to you. Relax. Cool, man. Do this thing that I call positive racism, which is where they'll sleep with you because you're black, and they're like, well, if I don't sleep with him, it's racist, which it is. So you better
lot of you have probably slept with Nelson if you've seen him. He's a Zimbabwe or whatever he's from. I can't. It's not spelled how it sounds. It's ridiculous.